Breaking news, their lengthy standoff
Wakefield
between police and a group of heavily armed men has come to an end. Let's listen in.
Chief McIntyre. We are also happy to be joined by Middlesex District Attorney Marion Ryan, who will also address you. As with before, we will take questions for a brief period afterward. Again, please bear in mind this is a fluid situation. The investigation is still ongoing, even though all suspects are in custody. So there will still be a lot of questions that we will not be answering at this point, but we'll do our best to give you as much information as possible. Thank you. Colonel Mason.
Thank you. I'm pleased and relieved to be able to report to you that at approximately 10:15 this morning, we were able to successfully resolve this situation through a combination of negotiation and some tactical maneuvers. As a result of that, we were able to place 9 individuals into custody without incident. They joined the 2 that had previously been placed under arrest earlier in the morning for a total of 11 arrests. Those individuals surrendered without incident to the state police stop team members that were at the scene, and I'd like to commend them for an outstanding job, the job that they did in coordination with the NEMLEC assets. Really fine job out at the scene. A great deal of discipline and patience was exercised out there today. I can share with you that a number of firearms have been seized. I cannot share with you the exact number. The 2 vehicles that were at the scene are being towed from the scene. They will be processed pursuant to a court-authorized search warrant, and only then will we know the exact number of firearms that have been seized. I can tell you that firearms, both long guns and handguns, are in plain view, and we anticipate those will be seized. As you can see, Route 95 is now open. We're happy to have that back open, particularly given the holiday weekend. I know that the MSP crime scene section has just completed its processing of the scene. 3D imaging and drone overflight documented that scene and memorialized that scene for the investigators moving forward. Massachusetts State Police Explosives Ordnance Disposal Section, or EOD, swept both of the vehicles prior to them being towed. There was no specific intelligence related to IEDs or any improvised devices or explosives. However, out of an abundance of caution, we wanted to ensure that those vehicles have been swept prior to being towed and secured for evidentiary processing. Motorists transiting on 95 northbound in the Wakefield area around the 57-mile marker should still exercise caution and expect some delays. There'll be some ongoing police activities that they'll see in the area. Those activities consist predominantly of searches that are being conducted adjacent to the breakdown lane in the wooded area around that area. We just want to make sure that nothing has been left behind at that scene, that we're confident the public will be safe. There's no items of any concern that are there. At the end of the day, really, I attribute the successful resolution of this to both patience, professionalism, and partnership. I couldn't be happier with the way the local, state, county, and federal assets all came together to successfully resolve this incident. At the end of the day, we have the desired outcome, which is a safe resolution. Everybody on all sides of this equation go home safely, and the roadway is opened. So I'd really like to thank everybody for their hard work on this, for their patience in working with us. I'd specifically like to call out also Mass DOT for their assistance. Their assistance in messaging to the motorists, their assistance with the road closures, and providing safety and security with their dump trucks, their snow plows that allowed the operation to go off without a hitch. So, with that being said, I would like to utilize this opportunity to wish everybody a happy, safe, and hopefully uneventful 4th of July. Now I'll turn it over to the District Attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you. This serves as a reminder to all of us, as the Colonel said, and I join him in his thanks, of the kind of situations that troopers may face in the middle of the night on the highway. You've all heard about the trooper coming to the aid of these disabled vehicles, being substantially outnumbered by armed individuals, the tactics and de-escalation practices that he engaged in, as well as the other state and local police officers that responded in getting us to a safe resolution. They deserve a great deal of credit for getting what could have been a very, very dangerous situation to a safe ending. And in respect to that, we join as well in thanks to the people who sheltered in place, who followed the directives that were being issued by Mass DOT and the local police departments in helping people to get to this resolution. As you've heard, there are a number of guns. We are also working on identification of these individuals. It's my expectation that all of them will be appearing in the Woburn District Court on a variety of firearms and other charges, and we'll know that better once we know exactly what we have here. They should be there on Tuesday morning. We'll be putting out more information with respect to that. But again, this is a reminder as we and all of our families begin the holiday of the dangers that can arise very rapidly in places where we may least expect that, and the way in which these officers working together today and using the best kinds of de-escalation and negotiation skills that they have were able to bring this to a place where within a few hours we are in a safe resolution of this situation. So I want to really commend everybody that was involved in this morning. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Scory, the Chief of the Wakefield Police Department.
Thank you. Obviously, very happy that this was brought to a peaceful resolution. I would like to thank the residents of Wakefield for their cooperation and understanding during this incident. The roads in Wakefield that were closed have now reopened. I'd also like to thank the police agencies that are part of the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council for their response and their assistance, the numerous chiefs that responded to provide their expertise and assistance to me. And I would also like to give recognition to the local fire departments that responded, Cataldo Ambulance, and the Wakefield Department of Public Works. Thank you.
Chief Clark.
I'd like to echo what Chief Scory said. We're very happy this resolved peacefully and without incident, and that things have opened back up again over the holiday weekend. We appreciate everybody's patience in being understanding, and I hope everybody understands that what we did is an overabundance of caution to make sure that the residents and the people of Massachusetts were safe. We kept everybody safe, and appreciate everybody's understanding. And we just like to thank again the work with the state police. Colonel, your officers did a fantastic job. The local surrounding towns that helped us out, helped us cover the town's calls for service, and NEMLEC for coming out, and it was a true show of working together and all these multiple agencies working together to come to a successful conclusion. I just want to thank everybody, and hopefully the rest of the 4th of July is uneventful for everybody. Thank you.
Chief McIntyre.
So I will echo both chiefs' comments. We are very fortunate that this came to a successful resolution. No one was hurt. The suspects were taken into custody. Very appreciative of the residents of Stoneham who were impacted by the traffic, and have some understanding that this is the type of stuff that needs to get done in order to bring a case like this to conclusion. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Questions?
Colonel, can you talk a little bit about this group of people? Tactical maneuvers. Can you tell us a little bit about what those tactical maneuvers were? And can you say, I understand that 2 suspects have gone to the hospital. Why is that?
Yes, sir. With respect to the first question, the tactical maneuvers, we rely predominantly on time as our ally. We rely on the state police negotiators for their patience, providing the person that we're negotiating with a voice. But there comes a time and a place where we have to demonstrate that we are serious, and the way we demonstrated it in this instance was we tightened our perimeter. So we were able to utilize to great effect the Bearcats. They demonstrate a message. They sent to, demonstrated and sent a message that we were serious, that we were resolved about, getting this issue ending it in a safe way. The Bearcats allow us to do that. And so it was, once those Bearcats compressed the scene and moved them in, it had its desired effect, and they were compliant very quickly.
All surrendered.
All surrendered without incident. Upon arrest, 2 of the individuals requested medical attention. I should point out that the medical attention they requested were for pre-existing conditions, nothing to do with the interaction with with law enforcement, either at the initial stop or at the time of their arrest.
Talk a little bit about who this group of people, who they are, who they're affiliated with, what their goals were, where they were going, and what their plans were for today.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about what their forum is and what their ideology is. I think they've been pretty vocal on social media about who they are and what they espouse. I'm not going to propagate that, I'll let that, they can define that for themselves.
What were they saying to you during the negotiations, though?
To me specifically?
Not you, the negotiators.
They wanted a voice. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be a variety of not demands but requests that they just be allowed to leave the area, transit the area without any accountability. And at the end of the day, we couldn't accommodate that, but we were able to work with them, and we could accommodate anything that would lead to a successful resolution to the issue.
So these are people that think that they didn't do anything wrong. Can you talk about potential charges and make it a little clear to some of our viewers what these people could have been doing wrong, why it was such an issue on the highway, why this is not allowed?
So ultimately, the charges, the state police investigators will work very closely with DA Ryan's office, and the appropriate charges will be brought forward in court. But basically, I think, from just a common sense, without really an understanding of Massachusetts firearms arms law, which supports the actions that we took today, you can imagine 11 armed individuals standing with long guns slung on an interstate highway at 2 in the morning certainly raises concerns, and is not consistent with the firearms laws that we have here in Massachusetts. I understand that they have a different perspective on that. I appreciate that perspective. I disagree with that perspective at the end of the day, but I recognize that it's theirs.
If they had their gun licenses on them, if they said they did not, would they have been allowed to continue through, or would they still have been stopped?
Massachusetts, they did not have gun licenses on them, first of all. Massachusetts does not allow the carrying of a loaded or unloaded firearm on an interstate highway such as this.
Was this all just happenstance? They were just traveling through Massachusetts and your trooper just happened upon them, and was there anything sinister behind what they were planning to do? And there was a lot of firepower in their vehicles.
I think we'll know at the end of the day, at the end of the investigation, I should say. Was this something that was staged to draw the attention of the state police, or were they in fact just traveling? We don't know at this early stage of the investigation.
Earlier you said that 2 were arrested. When those 2 were arrested on North Street, that 1 was armed. Were all 11 armed? And do all 11 face gun charges?
So we're in the process of determining, looking at the body-worn camera footage, making a determination what charges would apply. For instance, the 2 that were arrested, only 1 of them was identified as having a firearm. As I indicated earlier, we're conducting an article search in that area to see if there are additional firearms that have been dumped, dropped out there. So at the end of the day, we still have a significant amount of investigation to do and ensure that the appropriate applicable charges are levied against each individual.
Is the FBI involved in this investigation?
So we are already in contact. One of my first calls is always to the special agent in charge of Boston when we have a major incident like this. Here in New England, and the chiefs can speak to this, the DA can speak to this, we very much have a one-team mindset when it comes to critical incidents. No more than here in the Boston metro area do we understand the importance of that, having gone through a number of critical incidents. So I reached out to the FBI earlier. We had FBI assets at the scene. We've been engaged in information and intelligence sharing throughout this, and I anticipate that that will continue as the investigation moves forward.
They're now facing federal charges at this point,
We're still working on that. We're still working on that. As the Colonel said, we've been in touch with our other law enforcement partners. We are in the process of seeking search warrants for those vans, making assessments what the appropriate charges are. So that continues.
Rhode Island, is that true? Are they all Rhode Island residents?
That's information we have from them. We have not confirmed all of that in our investigation yet.
During the negotiations, what was happening? Were they all like hiding in the woods, just standing there? What was the play-by-play?
My understanding is there was a combination of some people who remained closer to the negotiators and others that were further in. But we're not going to really discuss all of that yet until we've had an opportunity, as the Colonel said, to review video, to really recount ourselves what took place out there.
Were they all men?
My understanding is that they are all men,
Last
yes.
question.
Are you confident that that the men indeed were heading to training, or could there have been something more nefarious?
We don't know that.
Might be worried that they were headed there to do something.
People should feel confident right now that we have 11 people in custody. We have taken custody of a number of firearms, and we are continuing the investigation to make sure that the safe status we've developed to now remains in place.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.